Cloud loses control of himself 3 times in the original Final Fantasy VII, but in Remake, Sephiroth seems to have a tighter grip on Cloud's sanity or control of his body. So that begs the question, how crazy is Cloud going to go in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? What's up, guys? I'm Joshua Thomas, and that's the question I want to answer here. I want to know what is going to, what is Cloud going to do in Rebirth? How much is he going to lose control? And more importantly, how far is too far? The reason I ask this is because there are fan theories out there that state, oh man, Cloud is going to kill Zack, or Cloud's going to kill. Oh, spoiler alerts! Let me start off by giving 2 disclaimers here. Number 1, spoiler alerts, and number 2, no matter what I say in this video, everyone's entitled to their fan theories, but this is going to attempt to debunk fan theories based on how I think the characters would react in Rebirth. So I'm trying to debunk theories with my own theories. So yeah, let's start talking about what happens in the OG, or what could potentially happen in Rebirth. So could Cloud kill Zack? Could Cloud be the one to kill Aerith? Could he kill someone else? Could he lose so much control of himself that he is the final boss of Rebirth? Those are all fan theories that I've heard in varying amounts and degrees. And that's kind of what I want to talk about here in this video. We're going to try and talk about how much Cloud is going to lose control of himself. So let's talk about the OG first. The 3 times that Cloud loses total control of himself are, number 1, in the Temple of the Ancients. After they get their hands on the black materia, Cloud loses control of himself. Sephiroth shows up, and we see this very amazing and yet confusing scene where we seem to have control of this child version of Cloud, and the adult version of Cloud is just slowly running over to Sephiroth to hand him the black materia. And so we actually get to play as Kid Cloud, and we are just screaming at adult Cloud, no, don't do this, stop, what are you doing? And then Cloud hands over the black materia, but even worse than that, afterwards he attacks Aerith and beats her. The second time that Cloud loses control is in the Forgotten Capital, when the party finally catches up to Aerith. Cloud has this strange moment. The entire screen turns red, and then when we go to talk to Aerith, we don't talk to her. Instead, Cloud draws his sword and faces towards Aerith, and I'm sure we were all at that moment trying to move him away. You could move the sword left, right, up, and down. And then finally, we press the X button enough to where he draws his sword back and gets ready to strike her down, but the party members stop him. They yell at him, and he regains control. And that's where we have the iconic scene of Sephiroth coming down to, do the deed himself. And then the third time Cloud loses control in the OG is when he once again uses the black materia in the North Crater to bring Sephiroth fully back to life. We are actually seeing Sephiroth's body this time, not just a manifestation of Sephiroth from Genova. So we've seen in Remake several times that whether they're expanding upon the story or whether this has something to do with this advanced knowledge that Sephiroth seems to have, Cloud seems much more affected by Sephiroth. He seems to have these moments of weakness. One notably is in the Sector 5 slums in the kids' hideout, where one of those cloaked figures, that one right there, actually, look, there it is right there. That's the scene I'm talking about. Cloud almost loses control of himself, and it's only Aerith talking to him that allows him to regain control. What we see there is Cloud even beginning to sort of meander like this zombie-like robed figure, this former soldier. It's possibly the Genova cells starting to take control of him. But once again, let's start talking about these fan theories that are surfacing and have been surfacing for the past couple of years of what Cloud could possibly do in Rebirth. Most notably, the one that I hear the most often is that Cloud could end up going through with what happens, or what he tries to do in the Forgotten Capital. He could end up being the one to kill Aerith. Now, I've got thoughts on whether Sephiroth needs to kill Aerith or not, but I think I'm going to save those for a separate video. Instead, let's focus on Cloud here. There are fan theories that say he may actually do it. He could be the one to kill Aerith instead of Sephiroth. Zack maybe be there. Zack could witness the event, before he even gets a chance to, talk to Aerith for the first time in 5 years. Then there's also the theory that Cloud could end up being completely taken over by Sephiroth and Genova at the very end of Rebirth, and end up being like the final boss instead of just bringing Sephiroth back to life with the black materia and activating, all of the planet's weapons. He may end up being the one that they fight. And then there's a couple other things that fans believe could happen. And some of these are, much more far-fetched, and other content creators will usually admit when they're like, hey, look, this is really far-fetched, but what if? One being that the Cloud who is with Zack currently, whether it be this alternate timeline or the same timeline, could end up being the one to kill Zack. But then again, there are theories that state the exact opposite, that because Zack is there, we may get a more stable Cloud. It's going to be interesting to find out. But how far is too far? How far, and feel free to comment on this. I see we've got some people watching, and I definitely appreciate it. Either in the chat or in a comment below, let me know what you think would be too far for Cloud to go, to the point that the party would no longer be able to trust him. So in the OG, Cloud does lose control of himself, but the party is usually able to stop him. So the worst things that he does is, he beats Aerith, and he gives the Sephiroth at the Northern Crater the black materia. And then he is lost. The party can't find him. The party searches for him. They have to deal with a few things without him. And then they find him in Mideel in this Mako sort of comatose state, or this Mako poisoned state. But in Rebirth, how far would he have to go to the point that, Barrett or Sid or Yuffie would be like, nah, I don't trust this guy anymore. He's bad. He's beyond hope. We can't trust him anymore. We can't allow him back into our party. I think that a lot of these fan theories actually kind of fall into that category, especially the final boss one, and of course either killing any other main character. So I think one of the things that the fan theories don't necessarily take into consideration is the overall story and how the other characters would be affected by this, and how it would feel being these other characters. We have to remember that these characters exist in this world, and they don't have this omnipotent knowledge that we have of the whole compilation. They don't know that Cloud is a good guy, especially if they see him kill Aerith, or they see him kill Zack, or they have to fight tooth and nail with him at the end of Rebirth. So let me know what you think is gonna happen. Let me know, what you think all these different little changes, this unknown story is going to be involving Cloud and his connections with Jenova and Sephiroth. Now, I don't know if you just heard my dog groaning back there. I've spoken about this in other videos before, but I could see Cloud losing enough control that the party does have to attack him, or that he has to fight the party, one or the other. I've had this discussion in comments before, where I think I could see Cloud not being the final boss, but being sort of one of the smaller bosses in the chain of boss battles that usually takes place at the end of a Final Fantasy game like this. So imagine, if you will, in Remake, the Cloud versus Rufus fight. I could see something like that. I could see maybe even just, like the party gets separated amidst all the chaos after Cloud hands over the black materia to Sephiroth at the Northern Crater, and the weapons are coming to life, causing the ground to split open. People are getting separated. Cloud loses control of himself, ends up in a battle with one of the other characters. It would be kind of cool if this other character was chosen by the choices that you make throughout the game, kind of like in the final battle with the Harbinger and with Sephiroth in Remake, where based on the number of times you play with each of the individual players, different party members can join you in different parts of the final battle. What if, based on your affection or some other means, like maybe whoever you played the most as in the game, that was the person that Cloud faced off against, if he goes that far? That way he's only attacking one of the party members, and it's not like this giant doom and gloom situation. It's just like this smaller one-on-one battle where, of course, the party member will succeed against him, and he will then, plummet into the live stream to be found later in Final Fantasy VII Part 3, re-adapted, whatever you want to call it. But now going on to, Cloud possibly killing others. We've seen in Remake that Cloud has been stopped from killing other people. He's been stopped from killing Johnny, and stopped from, cold-bloodedly killing Reno after he's defeated him in combat. So we know that Cloud has had to be pulled back from just totally offing some people. In Rebirth, I don't think Cloud is going to try to kill or attack Zack, the Cloud that is with Zack currently. What could possibly happen with the Cloud that is with Zack is completely up in the air. But I feel that having Zack with him, number one, does a character have to die in order for the Jenova cells to be able to absorb that knowledge, like at the end of Crisis Core? Or could Cloud still sort of absorb Zack's knowledge if he's alive? I feel that having Zack by his side would only help Cloud and not hinder him or cause him to go crazy. But then again, with the possibility of there being two Clouds, maybe this second Cloud is going to die in some way. Death is something that we could definitely talk about in terms of just Final Fantasy VII in general. Some deaths have been undone, it appears, at the end of Remake. And Final Fantasy VII in itself is about death and having to deal with death. So I do believe there is going to be death in Rebirth. It's extremely important for there to be. But I don't think Cloud is going to be the one to directly cause these deaths. This is something where I think, like imagine Barrett seeing Cloud kill one of the party members and then forgiving him later on in, the next game. I don't think we can see that happening. So let me know what you think. Are you one of the guys who is into the theories of Cloud losing total control and killing one of the party members, namely Aerith or Zack, or are you kind of, siding with me on this and you think, no, that's beyond the point of forgiveness. That's beyond the point of that's a point of no return. So if Cloud did this, it would be an unforgivable act. That's going to be all for this short live stream. Thank you guys for those of you who joined me live, and I look forward to seeing comments from those of you who see this later. So be sure to watch more board game and video game videos, and speaking of fan theories, be sure to check out the one I'm going to link here that talks about why you shouldn't fall in love with anyone's Final Fantasy VII fan theories, including my own. So talk to you guys next time.